Hello, good evening. Welcome to the April 2nd meeting of the Somerville Historic Preservation Commission. This is the first of our two April meetings. It is 6:49 p.m. on Tuesday, April 2nd, 2024, and I'd like to call this meeting to order. Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, this meeting of the Somerville Historic Preservation Commission will be conducted by remote participation. A recording of these proceedings can be accessed at any time using the registration link at the top of the agenda. And we have a fairly short meeting tonight, but let's start off with our introductions of the people on the commission for people out there. Let's pull you all up. And we'll start with Mr. Coughlin.
Hi, my name is Dan Coughlin. I am a resident in a local historic district in a historic building in Ward 3.
Thank you. We have Vice Chair Kelly.
Hi, I'm Robin Kelly. I am the Realtor member of the commission and a historic homeowner in Union Square.
Thank you. We have Mr. Shagnon.
I'm DJ Shagnon. I'm the landscape architectural member of the commission and a resident of Ward 5.
And Mr. Falvey.
Hi, my name is Ryan Falvey, and I'm a resident of Ward 2.
Well, and I'm Eric Parks, historic homeowner, architect, resident of Ward 3. And we have a member of staff here.
Hi, I'm Wendy Checkwich, preservation planner with Planning, Preservation, and Zoning.
Thank you. And that's who we are. And as I mentioned, we have one case on our agenda tonight. It's a determination of significance under our demolition delay review ordinance. And that case is HP 24-000010. Address is 36 Monroe Street. Applicant is Jilong Liu. The owner is the 36 Monroe Street LLC. The applicant seeks to demolish a building that is at least 75 years of age. Is the applicant here tonight for that project?
Yes, they are. Jialong Liu, you are being promoted to panelist. You will briefly be lose contact with the meeting as you are promoted to panelist. All right, Jialong Liu is returned as a panelist.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, everybody. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Hi.
Welcome. Why don't you give us a quick rundown of what you're up to?
Okay. And so 36 Monroe, and I purchased this property, oh gosh, I think 5-6 years ago, 5.5 years ago. That was 2018, October-ish. But very unfortunately, it's such a beautiful building and set in a strategical spot and really nice view, everything. The neighborhood is amazing. I have a very warm relationship with pretty much all my neighbors, even though I don't really reach out that much to everybody. So 2020, I don't even quite remember the day. I believe that was August 23rd. That was a Sunday. I actually went to my parents' place. So my neighbor call me and they tell me that was a really big storm day. So they called me to say, Dan, your house is on fire. Initially, I thought there's no way. I thought they were joking. So they said, no, come over. The entire the fire department's truck is here. There's probably more than 100 people surrounding your place. And then I just rushed, came from Sharon, Massachusetts. Took about 1 hour. When I got there, yeah, that was what happening. So the firefighters is on top of the roof, and it's just crazy. Of course, the city cut all the utilities. The building was hit by lightning. So there's 2 big holes on the roof. And of course, the rainwater and the firefighters, the waters, everything soaked into our building. Very fortunately, at that moment, nobody is inside the building. So there's no human casualty witness, and it just, my personal property and also the building, obviously, it's been severely damaged. Especially that, I think the emergency team only did I wouldn't say the minimum job, but because that's exactly what they did at that moment. So the board, the big two holes on the roof with just boards, as you can tell, it's not gonna stop leaking. And it also there, unfortunately, I lost my job in 2019. So like 1 year prior to this disaster, I lost my job. So at that moment, we're just fighting with insurance company to get insurance claim back. I don't really have a means or anything to do very active renovation or restoration at the moment. But as you can tell, it's oh my gosh, it's more than 3 years now. It's almost 3 or 4 years now. So yeah, I think at the point I start reaching out to contractors and architects, to get their feedback on what's the best way moving forward. Of course, everyone visited the property said this is a really nice property. However, the structure is a little bit compromised. Not only the water, but the mold grow inside, and plus the roof has never been fixed, so there's still actively leaking. And I placed probably more than 20 like big plastic storage bin to collect the rainwater and dump them whenever I need. I'm pretty sure this week I need to do the same thing. So it's something I dealt with at this moment. But like I said, I think me and my family finally decided this is going to be the time, and I got help from my sister's family. They want to put together financial package to help me to moving forward. So the architect and engineer and the contractor approach, the feedbacks are two things. One, they were talking that the structure-wise, it's not that secure at this moment. There's obviously many years after it's deteriorated. And second of all, they said the construction cost, compared with doing gutter renovation, of course, it's going to be gutter renovation. Oh, by the way, the entire place is being gutted internally. I believe that was 2021, based on the direction from my public adjuster. I work with them to get an insurance claim, and they tell me I needed to gut the entire place internally for them to be able to negotiate with the insurance to get more money from me. And I, of course, didn't understand why that's needed, but just for the sake of control the mold growth, I decided that's the best thing to do. So we got the entire place. So the contractor basically told us that the cost for us to do the restoration, whether it's just do the gutter renovation or do the ground up new construction, it's about the same. And plus, it's not that safe. They basically said that at the end, if you keep the place, which is option, they said if you keep the place, when you try to sell the property in the future, people are always going to question because this is in obvious public events. Everyone knows this house has been suffered from the fire, water damage, and the mold growth. They are going to question whether or not you fully cure the mold, or if there's any other things going on. They might come back to accuse you didn't do job good enough, and that's going to be a lot of nightmares. So they believe that it's actually more straightforward and also probably more cost saving for me to just rebuild the entire thing. That's where we at this moment. So.
Great. Thank you. And just, I forgot to do the customary introduction to this process too. You've probably are you familiar with the demolition delay process, but any member of the public might not be. This is a two-step process. And the first phase is what we're doing tonight is a determination of significance. And this is very much concentrated on the state of the building, on its the significance of the building as it is. It doesn't really address what might replace it or the conditions that may or may not necessitate that replacement. So it's sort of like a very narrowly focused snapshot of just, is this building significant in its own right? If we say no, then that's that. We say yes, then we come back next week or next month and have another hearing in which we consider the conditions like you brought up about, is it compromised, or is it better off to do this or that with it, and things like that, or stuff like that. So that's kind of the sequence. That's a hearing called the preferably preserved hearing. So at this point, for example, we don't really consider what you might do in its place. You're welcome to tell us, but we're not going to ask you that, so it's not really a consideration. So that's the background. And the next step that for us is to go into the receive public comment. So if you're any other questions for us before we do that, or we'll do that. You're welcome to respond later if there are other questions.
Thank you.
Okay. In that case, I'll open this hearing up for public comment. If any members of the public would like to speak, please raise your hand and the staff will unmute you.
Ron Cavallo, you are being unmuted for a 2-minute public comment period.
Ron Cavallo, 70 Victoria Street, Somerville, Mass. I'm a frequent contributor. Everybody knows who I am. A couple of things that I think are important here, and that's the first is that the board has the capacity to look at hardship issues, and I think that this clearly is a hardship issue. But secondly, I want to state that I think the building has very little architectural merit, and it's no loss to the city. In fact, I think a gain to the city for this building to be demolished. So I am fully supporting the demolition of the structure. I also want to add that a structure of this kind that has been compromised, and structures of this kind in general, are very, very difficult to bring up to the current energy code, which is implemented in the city of Somerville, which is one of the strictest and most difficult to deliver or create in the state. It's far, far easier to bring this parcel up to the current energy code if this building is demolished. Again, I repeat that I think the building has very little architectural merit. I also want to add that the city has what I think is a very aggressive and I think completely unrealistic goal to be 55% net zero by 2030. And structures like this, when they're gone, helps the city get to that goal. I realize you don't care about that. I do, because I look at the city as a whole, and even though some might say it's not true, care a great deal about this city. I also care a great deal about the environment. So I think there's a multitude of issues here, but I want to make it crystal clear that not only is this a hardship situation, I think this is a building that is absolutely no loss to the city. In fact, I think it's a gain to the city if it goes. That's it.
Thank you.
Any other members of the public wishing to speak on this item, please raise your hand for a 2-minute public comment period. Mr. Chairman, I do not see anyone else with their hands raised. You may close the public comment.
Okay, I'll close the public comment portion of this hearing and kick this out to the commission, see if you all have any thoughts on this. I assume you've had a chance to look at the staff report on this project or the building.
I'm happy to jump right in on this one. I think to a large extent, I actually agree with Mr. Cavallo's statement that there's not a lot of architectural significance left to the building, and that it's been so heavily altered in form and massing even before the damage. But our consideration for significance is actually two-part. It's both the architectural significance on its own merits and whether it's importantly associated with any notable people, places, or events. And this is the former residence of a Somerville School Committee person and then state senator for quite a number of years, and was the family historic residence. I believe it was his father that actually purchased it initially, and he lived there as a young man, and then still owned the building while he was a state senator. Relatively important person in Somerville's political history, and everything else. So I think that that association is, to me, speaks to historical significance, which does not necessarily translate to preferably preserved status. I think there's numerous ways around that, but I feel like we would be remiss at simply declaring this not significant based on that association. That's my 2 cents on it.
I agree that the property is so heavily altered that it does not retain sufficient architectural merit to rise to historic significance for me. And I'm not sure that the Historic Association, people-wise, gives me pause around historic significance for this property. But I do want to just make one thing clear, that in our determination for the commission for historic significance, we would not be taking into consideration hardship as to whether or not a property is or is not historically significant. That might be something that could be discussed at the next phase of preferably preserved. But hardship as defined for our commission's consideration is very specific and has very rigorous guidelines to it. And so this is not something that's been presented to us as a hardship case. And so will not be considered in that way, just to be clear on that. But in terms of where I stand with the property, just thinking about it, I'm not seeing historic significance.
Thank you.
I tend to agree with Vice Chair Kelly. The building has been altered many times over the years. All the current materials have been replaced with more modern materials like vinyl sidings and windows. There have been several additions that have hidden the original architectural value and massing. I do think it was worth bringing up, DJ, that there was a state senator that lived in this building at one point. But I would tend to agree that I'm not sure that that rises to the level of historically significant. That's just the way that I'm leaning at the moment.
Thanks. Yeah, I clearly, the front has had an addition, an enclosed porch, or I'm not sure what that was. There's an odd appendage off the right side. It's been stripped of quite a lot. It's not really, it doesn't have any twins near it. It's kind of the only little mansard building around there. And mansards in their own right are not super rare in the city. So in terms of the architecture of this, and I don't really view it as a significant building. This doesn't do a good job of portraying its original intent. And it's a good point, DJ, about that. The state senator, I'm not sure whether that, I mean, that is an important person in the state for what his role was, but I don't know how I would lean on that. I guess I probably would slightly lean against that mattering enough to call it significant, though I could be talked out of that also. How about you, Ryan? What do you think?
I'd side with the argument that it's neither historically significant, the structure, or based on who the occupants are. I definitely think it's worth noting, but it wouldn't sway my vote to support declaring the property significant due to the fact that someone was a state senator or school committee member or something else like that. So I would not support the historical significance of this building.
It's tough with the people because it's hard to stay consistent. I would imagine I mean, who would be somebody of more importance locally, or somebody who his life did something more unique than being a state politician, because that is, it's somewhat uncommon being a state senator. It wasn't a national senate, it wasn't like a federal thing. But it's just a question to toss around.
Fair point.
Um,
I'm mentally picturing what if Senator Jalen decided to sell her house and move elsewhere, and whoever bought it wanted to tear it down, would we be declaring it significant on those grounds? And that's, it's a good point.
No, it's really, I appreciate you bringing that up there.
Yeah, no, it's, I think what I have heard from the other members of the commission, I see where you all are coming from. Yeah, I think partially I brought it up largely because it really is, we do have a two-part consideration. It's not solely architectural significance to the comment from the public. But yeah, I can see where you all are coming from. I'll leave it at that.
I think part of it for me, DJ, just to clarify my stance a little
Yeah.
bit, is that because the building has been has so many alterations, it doesn't really, it
Yeah.
doesn't resemble where that senator lived. if
Oh,
that
that's an
makes any
interesting
sense.
point. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can picture a scenario where the building itself might not have significance, but because it has the integrity of the building intact, it would feel more like, this is where this person lived. It looked like this at that time. But
Yeah,
because it's been changed so many times, it just looks like a whole different place,
that's a good point.
which makes me feel less inclined to lean that way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
That's my thinking.
And
Also,
if I can just chime in, I'm moved, honestly, being able to work with you guys to that was such I'm engineer background, by the way, but that report, I forgot who wrote it. Report was beautifully crafted and finished, and so many things educated myself as well. I honestly knowing the senator used to live in there, just giving me a sense of a history and also significance of want to do good deed to this building and also to the neighborhood as well. And I pretty much agree with all you experts inputs over there. I believe I want to work with renowned architect to bring the glory to this building. And also I believe that there is a way, there are multiple ways, I believe, among all powerful minds, and then we can still associate this senator's name with the current time. Either we can name this building, some way going back to the name of the senator, or we can maybe place some small disruption or plagues or something, or trees or anything. Educated myself, and because this building is right next to the Prospect Park, it's highly visible, very public. And we want to work with the city to create a new building. I actually wanted to go back to see what this building looks like. We might even draw the inspiration or incorporate some elements or many elements into the new building. And there's going to be people walking around the park. They are going to be able to have opportunity to see what this building actually needs to be, right? Like you guys all put it out. This building, it's just Joe Smith at this moment, right? And it suffers significant structural damage at this moment. It has a beautiful history, had a strategic spot, and I mean, it's an iconic spot at this moment, right? We have beautiful view overlooking entire downtown Boston. So I think this building needs a makeover and without disconnected with the history. And then this meeting and whatever meeting coming forward, I will participate because I needed to learn. And there is a way, there gotta be a way for us to keep this legacy. If there is a legacy, we call it. That's what I mean.
Thank you. Yeah, I definitely appreciate that sentiment. I mean, regardless of how we vote, obviously it's our preference that things look respectful in the neighborhood. And that is a very prominent location. It's not really our, no, we're not the zoning board, but it is very visible across the park and all that. And it's going to be seen in within the context of some other buildings that are significant. So, and also, I think if there, I'm actually looking at a picture of your house right now from the late 1800s. You might contact, I mean, I could give this to staff, but there, it is a pretty well documented area. So if you wanted to see what it was back in the day, those resources are out there.
We are already reached out to CalSouth Design and Peter Quinn, both firms. I think those are probably two biggest names in Somerville. So we might feel like we're in a good hands, and especially I do have this determination, to make well, even if at the end of the meeting we voted there's not a significant, and I understand this neighborhood, every building is significant in a way, regardless if HPC in this process call this a significant or not. And that is something I feel like I want to shoulder this responsibility.
Thank you. Anybody else in the commission have any follow-up thoughts on all this?
If there is nothing else, I will just say thank you very much, Mr. Liu, for sharing those thoughts and your care as a property owner. But if there are no other comments, then I move that we vote to find the property historically significant, meaning that a yes vote would be significant, a no vote would mean it's not significant.
I will second that motion.
Okay, all in favor of the motion forwarded by, or proposed by Vice Chair Kelly?
Aye.
Aye. Oh, wait,
Yes.
no.
Again, I'm
So it's
based on that
motion is,
comment.
yeah, so the motion is to find it historically significant. A yes vote would protect it and name it significant. A no vote would be it is not.
Okay, so all in favor?
Yes,
Okay, and all opposed? No,
No,
No.
and we'll do a roll call when I get my Zoom screen back here. Mr. Coughlin,
No.
Vice Chair Kelly,
No.
Mr. Shagnon,
yes,
Mr. Falvey,
no,
and I will vote no as well. And we will, we next need a set of findings for this. And I think we could pretty much copy what we discussed, which I think was a lack of historic integrity, do modifications to the form, the massing, and the exterior envelope. Lack of relation to adjacent. I mean, it's not part of a streetscape pattern on the street. Those are probably the two most bigger ones. Anything else?
And not determined to be importantly associated with historical figures or.
Yeah, I guess we have to say that, right? And that's where it's kind of a gray area, but I think viewed on the mass, I decided that was not the case for my vote, at least.
Mr. Chairman, through you, you don't have to vote both A and B in your findings. It can be A or B in your findings. You're not required to do both of them, either when you're voting for or against historic significance.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
Thank you for
Thank you.
providing us an out there. All right, we have our motions. Is there, I mean, our findings, is there a motion to adopt those findings?
So moved.
Second?
Seconded by Mr. Coggan. All in favor of adopting those findings?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And we'll
And
do a
I'll
roll-
abstain.
Okay, Mr. Coggan,
Yes.
Vice Chair Kelly,
Yes.
Mr. Shagnon,
Abstain.
Mr. Falvey,
Yes,
and I'll vote yes.
All right.
So there you have it. You're free to demolish your structure. And just taking it, if you are interested in looking into the past of that building and look for possible old photos and things like that, there are resources in the city. Obviously, you have architects working with you, and that's kind of in their hands as to how, well, both of your hands. I was just looking at this picture. What I thought was your building, actually, I think right next to it was a school originally in the location where that park was. Next to you was originally, I think the Prospect Hill School was there, and that came down. So I was just looking at a grainy picture of that. It wasn't actually your house, it was the school next door to you. But anyway, that's a fun challenge. If you want to flesh out photos like that or just get any inspiration, it's out there. And staff would be happy to help you if I can volunteer Wendy without her agreeing to it.
Thank you, everybody. It's such a pleasure working with you guys and not only being very reasonable and also being very care. I mean, in terms of what a city wants and what a residents wants. And then luckily, I think at this moment, being a homeowner, I'm not a developer. So my mind is not so much for money. As you can tell, my God, this property has been damaged for 4 years now. I didn't do anything. I mean, developer will do the next one. So, but I'm not gonna sell the property. You know, I love it. I love the property. I understand the significance of that. When I say significance, I mean the significance to me, to the city, and to the neighborhood. Everyone of the building, and then I didn't see any familiar face today. I mean, neighbor. I didn't talk to them in advance. Nobody even have this conversation with me, but I'm pretty sure everyone understand there's something that needs to be done to the building because it's become an eyesore and a problem for everybody. And that's my responsibility. Again, I promise you guys, I will work with you guys and work with architect to find the way, connect the history, even though it's not, in your eyes, might not even be that significant, but as a regular Joe, that is significant to me. And it's my property, it's my baby. I will take care of it and I make the change. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night there. Yeah.
thank you.
Good luck
Thank you,
with your
everybody.
project.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so that was the one and only case on our agenda, and let me just pull that up again. We have minutes to review and the CPC update. And the minutes, has anyone or everyone had a chance to read those? I didn't see anything.
Yeah, I had no comments or issues with the minutes.
Same.
Neither did I.
That's the case, then we could take a motion to adopt the minutes.
So
Make
moved.
a
The minutes.
second.
So all in favor of the motion to adopt the minutes of April 2nd?
Aye.
2024? Aye.
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 Opposed? We'll do our roll call. Mr. Coughlin,
Yes.
Vice Chair Kelly,
Yes.
Mr. Falvey,
Yes,
Mr. Shagnon,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Okay.
And the last thing on our agenda is the CPC update. And we had a public hearing last week, which I was part of. The purpose was to solicit public thoughts on ways, just the process more or less of how we get word out for the availability of CPC funding. We had members of the public were mostly city people representing city groups, the Arts Council, the people in the affordable housing area, the open space, things like that. And we had a kind of a lively discussion, but I think I mentioned this before, the goal, we'd like to find ways to broaden the pool of people who apply for money with this. It's not like we're, we have nothing to spend it on, but it's a lot of it's been going to the same folks over and over again. For good reason, they'll need money. And one of the things I volunteered to do as a member of that group was to take cross-reference a list of nonprofit people in the city who are in buildings, running in nonprofits or other kind of commercial groups who also live in buildings that might have some merit that could use some of the money to further some kind of building issue they might have. Because the money in the CPC can't go to private, or generally can't go to individual homeowners if there's no public benefit to it. People can't just come to us for money to restore their building. There have been some cases where that was done if it's an exceptionally old building, like the Adams Magoon house up in Winter Hill. And we also had for a while a fund of money that was meant to actually kind of do, again, contrary to what I just said, that was a pool to help people with kind of standard issue historic preservation things of their house. For example, the incremental cost to use a better window instead of vinyl to go with the wood if a window for replacement comes into the situation, or other things like that. We had a pool of money that was around for that, but it was never really used because I think there was a question of how the city we didn't have the resources to determine where to allocate that. So that pool of money got washed into our general fund, but I would like to find a way to kind of recreate that process because I think that's a benefit. Some towns I know do that where there's some public CPA money available to your building for things like that. Anyway, I think that was the gist of where it is. Any questions on that?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's really everything on our agenda. How about you, Wendy? Is there anything else you wanted to bring up, or anybody else that we're allowed to discuss?
Going to remind everyone that I will not be here at the next meeting or the meeting after that. I'll send you an email reminding you that I will not be here, so you're not
Okay.
surprised when my colleague pops up.
Are you
but-
going anywhere good? Well,
Just
travel?
the one, so the next meeting, I'm just going to go to Pennsylvania for my dad's 70th birthday party.
Nice.
And then I'm going to Scotland the month for the beginning of May. So
Very
Wow.
nice.
very
Wonderful.
excited.
Have a great time.
Thank you.
It's exciting.
But I leave you in very good hands, and I will still be sending out your packet and your agenda before the April 16th meeting.
Okay.
So you'll be good to go.
There's a chance that I will be out of town that day. I don't know if Vice Chair Kelly, Robin, if you're around or not.
Yep. I'll be here.
We're trying to get up to Montreal to look at McGill for my son. So I'm not sure if we'll be
Oh,
leaving.
great.
the
Oh,
afternoon.
boy. He's old enough to be looking at colleges already?
Yeah, this will happen to you.
I know.
It's a horrible process. It's horrible. If it's
Which, looking at colleges or watching your children age?
well, that too, but just the act of applying for the colleges, and there's this FOMO of like, oh, did I get into this or that? And then if you do get in, it's how do I afford it and how much money
Yeah.
do they give you or not? And so there's a lot of little tendrils of angst that go with it.
Yeah.
But that's where we are. So he was accepted to McGill as one of his options, so we're going to go up there and check it out.
That's great.
Anyway,
When you find out if you'll be there or not, just let me know so I can make sure we have quorum. Everyone will be getting an email from me checking for quorum again.
okay. Sounds good. And I'm going to take a quick poke because it came up to see if there are any photos of that stretch of road where the applicant's house was. And if so, I'll just send them to you and you can, for what it's worth, pass them on to him.
Perfect. Yes, that would be wonderful.
I had a
Okay.
quick question, Wendy.
Mhm.
Do you know anything about, would there be a conflict of interest if I was to apply there's an opening on the redevelopment authority?
I don't know, but I can check if members are allowed to be on multiple boards, because I don't know that, but I can find out.
I would be surprised if not. When I first started, we had a member of the ZBA on our
Yeah.
commission as well. Which is pretty heavy duty.
Yeah, apparently they offer a stipend, which is something that I think that we should argue for, since we do so much work. Personally, I think that would be nice. I think it would help our numbers. If there was a small stipend,
Might
I
help
think we
with
might,
recruitment, yeah.
that's what I mean, yeah.
That has been brought up many times.
I mean, if all these other boards have these small stipends, I think the redevelopment authority, it's $318 for a one meeting a month. So they could give us something.
What?
$318
Wait a minute.
annually or per meeting?
Per meeting.
Mr. Coughlin, you are creating chaos on my board right now.
All right.
Good. I'm a disruptor.
It's
All
starting
right,
to feel like
so-
the French Revolution in here.
So if you could let me know, I'm considering doing that just because several people have brought it up to me. And I'm very concerned about art spaces in the city. So anyway,
I will find out, and hopefully that means you'd still stay here, though.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I
Okay,
have
good.
allegiance to you guys. I really enjoy this board, to be perfectly honest.
Oh, good. Well, I really appreciate your being with us. It's good to
Yeah.
see you.
It's fun. So I would stay here no matter what. But if I can do both, I might consider that.
Okay, perfect. I will find out and let you know. I'll try to have an answer by the end of the week, assuming people answer me that fast.
Thank you very
You have,
much.
Dan, are you at one of the studios then? I forgot what your background is.
Yeah, I have a sculpture studios at Joy Street
At Joy Street,
Studios
okay.
in Brick
Okay.
Bottom.
Will you be doing the open studios this
Oh, yeah.
May?
Yeah, everybody should come by.
Okay,
Yeah,
Should have
Keep us
a
posted.
fair amount of stuff going on.
Cool.
excellent. Well, obviously you're being on the redevelopment authority is good for, I mean, as a historic commission person, it's good to have somebody with that kind of eye, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see if that's a possibility. I would consider it for sure.
Okay,
All right.
Great.
all right, well, I guess we
Right.
need a motion to adjourn then.
So moved.
Second that.
Okay, motion to adjourn by Vice Chair Kelly, seconded by Mr. Falvey. All in favor of adjourning?
Bye.
I.
All right.
Opposed? Let's do our roll call of Mr. Falvey.
Yes.
Oops, sorry, I just lost my screen here. Mr. Shagnon,
yes.
Mr. Coglin,
Yes.
Vice Chair Kelly,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes. Thank
Alright.
you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
trip,
Thank you, Wendy. Have a good trip.
Enjoy
Thank
your
you.
travels, yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.